Hello, good morning.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Okay, sir, your screen is visible, sir.
Okay. So am I audible? What about the voice?
It's clear, sir.
It's clear. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. So one more thing I want to check is give me a second.
Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Liz.
So is it audible?
Yes, sir. It's audible, sir.
Yeah. So sound is clear.
Yes, sir. It's
In
clear.
this lesson, I'm going to look at the types of topics that the examiner could ask you in IELTS Speaking Part 1. And at the end of this
Can you hear
lesson,
me
I'll
while
give you a
the
link
video is
so
on?
that you can take a look
Yes, sir.
at the
Yes, sir. I
topics
hear
and
your voice
questions
also, sir.
for yourself.
Right.
The examiner will probably ask you about 12 different questions in.
Thank you, sir. Sir, shall we start by 10:55, sir? Because the
Yeah.
timing is
So
11 o'clock only, sir. 11 to 12 only our session, sir. That's why.
yeah, no problem.
Okay, sir. Thank
It
you,
is
sir.
the timing is strictly followed.
No,
12
sir.
I have
No.
to close.
No, sir. No. Not like that, sir. You can take your time.
Yeah, maybe I need a little more time.
Okay, sir. Sure, you can take, sir. No problem.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
Thank
Then
you, sir.
I'm closing I'll stop presenting.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Sir, shall we start? Sir?
Yeah, yes, we can. I'm ready.
Okay, sir. A pleasant morning to everyone gathered here. It's my immense pleasure to welcome you all for the sixth session of a 6-day virtual international faculty development program on emerging trends and challenges in teaching English language and literature. Now I invite Dr. M. Manopriya, Assistant Professor of English, to introduce today's speaker.
Thank you, Akarshana. There is no doubt that the world is full of gems, and we are having one of them here to help us shine through today's event. That is none other than our resource person, Dr. Justin James, who truly set a benchmark for multi-hyphenated achievements. I'm profusely elated to take an opportunity to introduce and welcome the keynote speaker of the day, Dr. Justin James, who has 17 years of experience as a lecturer in English and e-learning coordinator at the University of Technology and Applied Sciences, Sultanate of Oman. Dr. Justin James received his BA and MA in English Language and Literature in St. Joseph's College. He was awarded MPhil in English in St. Joseph's College. He underwent the certificate courses in ICT Teaching Languages through Technology from Trinity, London in 2011. TESOL from American TESOL Institute in 2018. Received his doctorate in Literature and Applied Linguistics in 2020. He has developed teaching materials for foundation level listening exams in the department since 2007. As an e-learning coordinator at NCT and UTAS, he has trained English lecturers to use audio and video materials, Moodle LMS, and several online tools in his teaching since 2001. As a language trainer, he trained his students for TOEFL and IELTS exams. Dr. Justin James received Teacher Study Grant from American Studies Research Center, Hyderabad in 1990 and 91. He worked as a coordinator in Faculty of English and E-Learning, Multimedia and E-Learning, Technical Writing, Public Speaking, TOEFL, and the list goes on. He has also organized international faculty development programs in collaboration with the PG and Research Department of English, Holy Cross College, Trichy, College of Science and Humanities, SRMIST, Chennai, St. Mary's College, Thrissur, Auxilium Autonomous College, Vellore. He has published many papers in national and international journals. His research papers were appreciated, and he was awarded for the best research paper in 2019 and also in 2020 from English Language Center, Nizwa College of Technology, Sultanate of Oman. Dr. Justin James gave keynote address in many conferences, seminars, and webinars in various colleges and universities. He also organized many workshops in Qaboos University, Muscat, Dhofar University, Oman. Dr. Justin James has edited a book named Voice Assistants, Future of Interaction. He is acting as a research reviewer in the Research Council, Government of Oman, an editorial board member in Journal of Technology for ELT at Oman Journal of ELT. Adding another feather to his cap, he is serving as a foreign examiner for the PhD candidates in Bharatiyar University, Periyar University, Vellore Institute of Technology, the Gandhigram Rural Institute, the University of Madras, and Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, Coimbatore. He also served as a principal in Ujjwala CBSE Residential Public School, Siddipet, and a Little Scholars Public School, Andhra Pradesh. With this note, I would like to extend my heartiest welcome to our chief guest, Dr. Justin James, for his keynote address on online resources to enhance English language skills. Please, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gayatri. I think she's the one who introduced me. It was a very long, elaborate introduction. So at the outset, I wish you all a happy New Year, a very academically productive year. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Saravanan, the principal of the college, Dr. Mohana Sundari, the head of the department, Dr. Geeta, and other colleagues in the department. And I also would like to welcome all the participants who have gathered here to listen to me and to see me and to listen to me. First of all, let me share my screen. Right. So this is my topic, online resources to enhance English language skills. Originally, this program was planned as I did 4 workshops for the Vellore Institute of Technology BTech students last year. So 1 workshop for each skill. I combined all these 4 workshops into a presentation to present it before you today. I think it is a little bit ambitious to cover all the 4 skills in 1 hour presentation. So I may take little more time. So if some of you don't have enough time, you can leave once you are done. So I'll try to finish the lecture by 12:30. I need to discuss certain things in a detailed way. That's why I wish to take a little bit more time than allotted. I'm sorry for that, but unless I do that, I won't be doing justice to my presentation. Thank you very much. Okay, so now before going into the presentation proper, I would like to know from you, during the COVID time, you have used a lot of technology in your teaching. I would like to know what are the applications or web resources you have used in your day-to-day teaching. Either voluntarily you have done or it was forced upon you, whatever it is. If you can give me some of the resources and apps you have used, I would be able to find out how far you are into using online resources and technology in your teaching. You can type out your responses here in the chat box. YouTube videos, board, Zoom, Google Meet, and Google Classroom, Google Meet. Okay, that's a presentation platform. MS Teams, okay. PDF, Smartboard. Any online resources did you use other than YouTube? Kahoot, Moodle, TED. Okay, that's a good resource for language teaching. Right. So from what I see on the chat board, I find that some of you are familiar with using technology in your classroom. I have been using technology for the past 15 years, starting from Quizlet, WebQuest, and other resources. Not only I was using them, but I was also training my fellow teachers in the department in using those resources for their teaching. Now, what I find generally is that teachers are a little bit hesitant to use technology. There are various reasons for that. One being the fear of things going wrong while you are using it. But after COVID, with a long time experience of using technology, we were forced to use technology in our day-to-day teaching. Now people are very familiar and comfortable in using technology. Now, my main lecture is not using technology as such, but using online resources, the materials that are useful in teaching and learning the language. So the materials that are other than textbooks, we all have textbooks and we are forced to use textbooks and we are supposed to teach the syllabus. Whatever resources I am going to discuss today can be used as supplementary materials that can add value to your teaching. So add value to your learning also. Now there are a lot of benefits. These are some of the benefits of using online resources. So easy and free access. So you can very easily access these materials. You don't need to pay anything. And most of these materials are custom made for using in the classroom, as well as for students to use as a self-learning resource. Then variety. So in a textbook, the one problem with a textbook that are prescribed, books are very didactic and, you won't find much variety in that. It is custom made and very specific target oriented materials are there. So therefore there aren't enough varieties in the textbook that makes students feel a little bit bored or, they aren't interested in reading the textbook. Another advantage is anytime, anywhere, and any device. So we can access these materials from anywhere, anytime, either during daytime or late in the night or early in the morning, 24/7, they are available. And you can access them using any device through a laptop, desktop, palm top, and your mobile phone. Reduced costs. Even if there are some paid resources, that doesn't cost as much as you pay to a university or a private institute while you go for some language training. The next one is personalized education. So what I mean by personal education here is that, say, if you want to enhance only your speaking, you can particularly access resources that give you training for speaking. If you want to become a content writer and you want to have practice in writing, you can use materials that are custom made for giving you training in English writing. So personalized, that way it is personalized depending on your need. It is, so those materials you can access depending on your need. So you need not go in for all the skills, but it is better you are proficient in all the skills. The last point is repeated access to materials. So the same material you can access again and again. You can save the URL and you can access it anytime, any number of times. There aren't any restrictions regarding the number of times you use these materials. Now I am moving to my presentation proper. So I'm going to deal skill by skill. So the first skill I am interested in discussing is listening skills, how to improve your listening skills. So the best method is to enhance any language skill is to, have the correct kind of input without any anxiety. So mostly when we learn language, we are anxious, especially when we learn a foreign language. So even though we call English a second language in India, of course, it is a foreign language. So anxiety is one of the problems. So if you have comprehensible input in a low anxiety situation, and that should contain the messages the students are interested in listening, naturally, you can learn that language without any problem. Now, one issue here is that when you look at a child learning the mother tongue, the child is not forced by anyone to speak. The child listens to the mother tongue for at least minimum period of 2.5 to 3 years. Some children start speaking only after 4. So they have 2 to 4 years of input, language input, before they talk. You can't force a child to speak. The same is the case with when you learn a new language or a foreign language. Unless the learner is ready to produce the language by way of writing or speaking, you are not supposed to force them to do so. This is something very, very important. So therefore, only through comprehensible input, the input, whatever you give them as a learning material, as a learning resource, it should have enough information that that particular learner can comprehend. So if you give materials that are difficult to comprehend, then it may be a problem for that particular person to learn that language without any anxiety. So creating a low-level anxiety is very important. Reducing their anxiety and presenting materials that are meaningful for them is very, very important. Now, here are some of the reasons why you can, make listening as a top priority skill. The more you listen, the more you can speak. So it's basically the input and output theory of learning a language. So one main point or the most important advantage here is listening activities are available anywhere. If you can use your smartphone today, you can access any number of materials. So you need to have a headphones. Why headphones? Because that can give you maximum amount of concentration in listening. Secondly, all these materials are free. And even if some websites are charging you, they charge very, very little amount. So it is much, much lower than you pay to an institute or a teacher. Therefore, you can access these materials free of cost, or if you are going for specialized training in IELTS or TOEFL, you may have to pay a little bit of money. Otherwise, it is free. One very specific advantage of listening compared to reading and writing is that you can do a lot of work while you are listening. If you are cooking or doing your dishes, or you are at gym, or you are driving to work, or you are traveling, whatever you are doing, you can listen to something without much disturbance to the other work you are doing. Multitasking is one of the advantages of listening. So you need not pay full attention to what you listen. Now let me play a video.
I think we should explore a few solutions.
Sorry about
Grammarly
that.
ensures
ad.
your writing.
Hi, I'm Kasia. Welcome to Oxford Online English. In this lesson, you're going to learn how you can improve your English listening.
You'll see simple, effective tips that anyone can use to improve their English listening skills. We'll also give you a practical, easy-to-follow study plan to help you improve your English listening fast.
But first, let's start with some questions. I'm going to ask you about 4 different situations where you would hear spoken English. You should think about whether understanding spoken English would be easy or difficult for you. Okay? First, you're listening to an English teacher speaking British English, speaking slowly and clearly. Easy or difficult?
Next, you're listening to a native English speaker from Scotland who speaks with a Scottish accent and also uses a lot of slang and idiomatic English. What do you think? Would this be easy or difficult for you?
Next, you're on a train. There are 4 non-native speakers from 4 different countries talking to each other. They have different accents. Do you think you could understand their conversation? Would it depend on where they were from?
Finally, you're listening to a news show on the radio or as a podcast. There are many different speakers and, of course, you can't see them. They're talking fast, using a lot of less common vocabulary and changing topics often. How would you find this?
Probably, most of you think that the first situation is the easiest and the last situation is the hardest. However, a lot depends on you and your experiences. The big question is, what can you do in those difficult situations? You've been studying English for years, but you still can't understand everything you hear. We get it. It's frustrating. So what can you do?
Here's a question. If you worry a lot about your English listening, will it make your English
Oxford Online English is one of the very good resources to improve your listening. Of course, along with the listening, they give a lot of materials for reading and writing too. So, what do you think of this particular recording? Was it clear? Was it easy to follow? Can you respond? Do you think it will be useful for students? Students can follow the language and the way they speak. Right, thank you. So this is one resource I often use whenever I give them homework or assignment. I take a particular video, share the link, and send them the task they are supposed to complete. Let us move on. Now, when we are planning to learn a particular language, we should have a definite plan how we are going to learn that language. So planning, time management, all these things are important. So this particular video tells us how we can have a plan.
الحالة محتاجة الكينج. لازم تهتم بدقنك شوية وتهندمها كمان. ويا سلام من شوية ترتيب.
That's not the video. I'm waiting for that to be
لأنك على طريقتك.
Many people actually think that it's enough to say,
I want to learn German in 2018, and that's my goal. But actually, that's not a very good goal because it's not specific. So being specific is probably the most important thing when it comes to goal setting, and I'm going to go into the detail of that. And the technique I'm going to recommend is setting SMART goals or SMART objectives. So what does it actually mean? So SMART basically stands for specific, measurable, ambitious, realistic, and time-bound. So the first one is about being specific. What is it specifically that you're trying to achieve? So you're not just trying to learn German. You're trying to do something specific. Are you trying to learn how to introduce yourself in German? Are you trying to learn how to talk about your job in German? Be specific about it. Because then when it comes to evaluating your goal and deciding, have I actually learned this or not, you will be able to look at the specific goal and the specific outcomes that you've achieved and decide.
So don't you think it is important for us to teach our students how to set a goal, language learning goal, specifically learning goal? Right. Yeah. So don't you think it is important to teach our students to set a proper goal when it comes to plan their language learning? So this is one particular video that teach the students or the learners how to set a learning goal. It can be used for either language learning or learning any other subject for that matter, or even learning any other skill like driving or swimming. So it is important to have a goal. Now, see, with regard to all these online resources which I am going to introduce today to you, I shall send you the links. I shall share the links with the organizers. They can email it to you. So just listen to me. Don't worry about taking a screenshot or anything. I have the Word file with all the links. For want of time, I am playing a very, very short duration of these videos so that, you get introduced to it later. You can access this using the links I share later. Now, with my experience, I found using podcasts in my classes very useful. And, initially students find it a bit difficult and hesitant to use that, but over time they find it very, very useful. So this is what is my experience in using podcasts. Podcasts are purpose-made audio recordings that help students to practice language. And in the podcast, you find the recordings, voice recordings of people from all over the world. So today, that is also very important. You should be familiar with all accents of the language if you are learning English, because you are going to work for multinational companies. Our students are going to work for multinational companies where they have to cater to the needs of people from different parts of the world. So therefore, it is very, very important to give them exposure to different styles of speaking the language. So how to use podcasts to improve your language. So find a good English podcast at your level. Listen first without a transcript or subtitles. You'll get a sense of how much, like when you listen for the first time, listen without subtitles or the transcripts. Most of the podcasts comes with transcripts which you can download and later use for reading purposes and reading comprehensions also. So, and use the key vocabulary in the transcript. So it will help you, later, second time when you listen, second or third time when you listen, you can use the transcript. And if you have missed some words, you can, recognize those words and learn from that. So that will help you to reinforce the vocabulary. That means to learn the words for later use. And also listen and write a summary. It will also improve your writing skills. So these are some of the methods you can use podcast to listen to English language and improve your listening. So, most of us, most of the universities in India concentrate on reading and writing, whereas they don't give a lot of importance to listening. So listening skills are not given the required importance. I would say more than writing, students need to get more practice in listening. So the more they listen, the more input they get about the language. So make your own vocabulary list, jot down the vocabulary, write down, find out the meaning. So if you are learning a new word, try to learn the meaning of the word, pronunciation, and how that word can be used in a sentence. So this is one method you can follow so that you very quickly get to use the word in your day-to-day language requirement. Then also transcribing the podcast is another thing. So whatever you listen, you write it in your own language, in your own words, whether it is a theme or whatever, even if it is a story. So write it in your own language. However simple it is okay. The most important way of, improving your pronunciation is shadow the podcast. Shadowing is that while the person is speaking, first time you listen to the podcast, then second time you listen, you start, speaking along with the speakers there. So then it helps you to improve your pronunciation. British Council podcast. British Council is one of the leading organizations that makes a lot of online materials. So they make podcasts on a daily basis. So if you can introduce this to your students, it will be very beneficial for your students.
Hello, and welcome to this Learn English elementary recording brought to you by the British Council. To find out more and to access language activities and audio scripts, visit our Learn English website at www.britishcouncil.org/Learn English.
Hello, and welcome to Learn English Elementary Podcast number 1. My name's Ravi.
And I'm Tess. We're your presenters, and we've got lots of things for you to listen to today. But before we start, I think we should introduce ourselves. Ravi?
Okay, I'm Ravi.
Or I tell you what, I'll introduce you, and you can introduce me. How about that?
Well, okay then. This is Tess. She's from London. How old are you?
None of your business, Ravi.
And she loves dancing and riding her mountain bike, okay?
Okay. And this is Ravi. He comes from Manchester. He's 23. Oh, aren't you?
Oh, yes.
He likes football and he's a great cook.
Thanks. And there's one more person for you to meet. I'd like to introduce our producer, Gordon. Say hello to everyone, Gordon.
Hello. Pleased to meet you.
Hi, Gordon. And how are you today?
Very well, thank you, Tess.
Good. We'll speak to Gordon again later in the show, but now it's time to get on with our programme. We've got an excellent show for you today, and let's start with our first section called I'd Like to Meet. We ask people a simple question. Which famous person, dead or alive, would you like to meet? And of course, we ask them to explain why. Our guest today on I'd Like to Meet is Zara Heller from Bristol. Hello, Zara, and welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hi, Zara.
And what do you do, Zara?
I'm a student. I'm in my last year at school. I'm 16.
Right. Now, let's ask the question. So, Zara, which famous person, dead or alive, would you like to meet?
I'd like to meet Angelina Jolie.
Angelina Jolie? Great, good choice. Tell us a bit about her.
She's an American film actress. She was in Tomb Raider, and she's an ambassador for the United Nations.
So as you can hear, there are different accents, people from different parts of the world participating in it. Before continuing, I would like to have a, I am handling the lectures from 2 machines, and I have one machine exclusively for, reading the chat and the responses from the participants. It's really disturbing to, read people discussing about the feedback link when a serious lecture is going on. If you aren't interested, would you please leave the meeting and let me complete the presentation? And those who want to listen to me, let them listen and get the benefit out of it. It's really after 2-3 years of online, programs, attending online programs, people still discussing about this is really unfortunate and disturbing. I'm sorry to say this. Okay, so let us continue. So British Council broadcasts are also freely available. They are creating new podcasts every day. So if our students are following this and you introduce this resource to them and ask them to listen, and if at all you are giving some assignments, most of you are working in autonomous colleges, so continuous internal assessment is part of you. So you can, particularly select a particular podcast, copy the link, share it with the students, and send some comprehension questions, or ask them to summarize or paraphrase. Later, I'll discuss with you why summarizing and paraphrasing are very important for anyone who is learning the language. It's very important to get some sort of training in summarizing and paraphrasing. So you can introduce these resources. As I told you, make it part of the curriculum also by adding it a kind of assignment or tasks. Then it will be very helpful for them to learn. See, one way of introducing these kind of resources is to, add it with our day-to-day learning. Over time, at least considerable percentage of students will become familiar with that, and they start using it, and they will reap the benefit. So another, these 2, British Council and Voice of America. So if somebody is interested in very proficient in British English, they can go in for British Council materials. If someone is aiming at going for higher education in America, or they want to, familiarize themselves with the American English, they can go for Voice of America Special English podcast and broadcast. I'll show you one example from there. So they give daily programs, and especially grammar, not only grammar. So anything under the sky they talk about. So this is one
Consider
example.
a time that you answered the phone or made a phone call. What kinds of words did you use? What kinds of grammatical structures were important? In today's report, we will explore a point of grammar connected to phone calls. You will learn about some uses of modal verbs. We describe English verbs in terms of 3 ideas: tense, aspect, and modality. That might sound like a lot to think about, but here is a simple explanation. Tense has to do with time. For example, tense can show present and past actions. Time beyond the basic present or past is often expressed by adding helping verbs to the present or past verb forms. This is how we form the simple future and past perfect, for example. Aspect is another idea related to verbs. It shows if an action is completed or ongoing. This is one of the differences between the simple past and past progressive. Modality is used to express ideas such as possibility, ability, or necessity. We use modal verbs to help change the meaning of other verbs. 3 modal verbs are especially useful when describing or making phone calls: will, can, and could. Let's explore each. Imagine you are sitting with family or friends. You hear the phone ring. You say, "I'll answer the phone." This is short for "I will answer the phone." The main verb is answer. In this sentence, the modal verb will expresses willingness.
Okay, see, look at this. You not only hear the sound, but also you can read the script. That way it will have a double impact with students. Yeah, it's easy to understand also. Also, the language is very simple, and day-to-day usages. This is how they develop the language. Help people from different parts of the world to understand and make it easy to learn English. Unlike our college classrooms where teachers go there and they will try to show off with their all the vocabularies they have learned. They don't care whether the students understand or not. But of course, students admire you for the kind of vocabulary and the pronunciation apart, but they don't, really learn anything from you other than listening. So it is very important to, to give them very simple output so that they become more confident and they become less anxious while they learn that language. In addition to all the resources I discussed, now most of our students have mobile phones and they can download audio books. The books, if they are studying literature, most of the classics are there in the form of audio books. So these are the websites they can download the audio books and listen to them. This is one great way of not only learning the syllabus, but also, getting enough language input. So if you can introduce these websites to your students, especially literature teachers, if you are introducing this will be of great help to the students. Now I'm moving on to how to improve your speaking skills. So it's a logical thing that, after listening, we discuss about speaking skills. So how to improve, like English speaking skills? There are, there aren't any shortcuts or magical methods, but you need to do a lot of hard work. So whatever may be the resource you use, be it online or offline, your commitment and hard work are very important. So this is one way of some of the things which I'm displaying. You can read. I'm not going to read everything. I'll give you 30 seconds to read this slide. These are very easy. I have put everything in detail. Yeah, these websites are free. Whatever websites I am introducing you today are free websites, Ria. So vocabulary is the base of any language. The more number of words you learn, and you learn how to use those words, then that's it. You can become an expert user of that language. There are many ways of improving pronunciation, but today, students can access these web resources using their mobile phone, smartphone. All the traditional dictionaries, they have also digitalized their dictionaries, and they have added sound to each word. The pronunciation, the articulation is done there. So YouTube has also surveys there. So many people are, helping recording pronunciation videos of interesting, words, and they also help. They pronounce it slowly, pronounce it, fast, so that learners can pick up the correct way of pronouncing that particular word. So, if you want to, speak very fluently, it's important that you learn to link the words, connect the words, and use contractions, and also use rhythms. But one problem with English language is that, however we learn the correct pronunciation, we don't get the correct rhythm of the language. So since I am working with Americans and British people here in Oman, I see the difference. So however good you are, you don't get the kind of native rhythm of that particular language. So it is similar with if an American is studying Tamil, he may not get or Malayalam or Telugu, he may not get the kind of rhythm with which we speak that language. So it is something, it should come in a natural way. Someone has asked a question. I think it's Ria. Okay, one question I have often faced is in this regard is spelling of words. Which is the correct spelling, or which one do we Indian follow? Please elaborate on this. Okay, so I think in India mostly we follow British spelling, but now there is a confusion. Sometimes you write organization with IS or Z. It depends, because you get influenced by WhatsApp and other resources. Mostly people use American spelling. So I also have this confusion often when I read a thesis from India, which is written in British English. Suddenly I feel struck somewhere and check whether the spelling is correct. But I know later I understand it is British English. So nowadays it is the differences are narrowing down, and the mixture of both are accepted in academic writing. So if you write some words in British English and some words in American English, no one bothers much. So the differences are narrowing down. So strictly speaking, you cannot say that you should only write British English. The influences of both varieties of Englishes are overlapping with each other. So we can have some sort of flexibility over there. So fourth point is very important, developing a kind of speaking confidence. And it is important teachers stop and listen to the students, and without criticizing. Even if they make any number of blunders, please don't correct them then and there. Don't point out their mistakes and say that you don't know how to speak English. How are you going to pass the course? Or you don't know how to write this. Then how are you going to pass the exam? These kind of comments will have a very strong negative impact in their mind. So it is important to avoid that, rather listen to them, and later you can reinforce the correction when you teach. Or you can repeat the same sentence the student is speaking wrongly. You can reinforce by repeating the sentence in the correct way. That's one way, instead of saying that you are making a mistake. Fifth point is speech shadowing. This is also like when somebody is, speaking or listening to some of the podcast, you can stop, speak, shadow the speech. The same thing you can repeat a couple of times, and that will help you to, learn the sound and pronunciation. Yeah, Saroj Bala, what that point is also correct. WhatsApp is, but things are changing. And, like last week in one of the presentations, one of my students used the word electronic love. Vocabulary is getting changed, and I had to agree, I asked her to explain. She said people fall in love with each other on social media. I call it electronic love. So, things are changing. Maybe after some time, the language may undergo a lot of new changes. So, yes, of course, the mixture of both are, fine. As long as you are able to communicate the ideas, it is fine. And you cannot avoid the influence at all. So, this is a tricky situation. One has to balance. Self-talk. So this is one way of improving, your language. It will give you a chance to think in that language once you involve in self-talk. So it is important to engage in self-talk, produce sentences of your own, and that will also help. Of course, that's a good way. So, involving them in programs. So, Deepa, your idea is very good. Okay. So, let us continue here. And thinking in English. So, if you want to be very efficient speaker of a particular language, so you should be able to think in that language. So, self-talk will, give you an opportunity to think in that particular language. So retell a story. So if you have listened to a story, for example, you have a story or you are reading a novel, you have students can go and, retell the story to their younger sisters or brothers or nephew or niece, whoever is in school younger than them, so that, they can try to retell the story in their own language. I mean, in their own English. So that there'll be low anxiety and the other people will not find out the mistake. The children won't find the mistake. So it's one way of retelling a story, is one way of reinforcing the language, practicing the language. So then participate in public speaking events, such as someone was telling, conducting debates, seminars, and speech. But that is a kind of advanced productive experience of a language. But, the best low anxiety production of language happens in the classroom. So if you reduce your talk time and allow students to talk and encourage them to speak. So to start with, that will be a very good practice. In the classroom, you tell them that we are all up in the same boat and our language abilities are same. So even if we make mistakes, it's not a problem. Please come on, talk, ask questions, and give them some, hot topics to debate. Whatever is happening in the society, you can just pick up some points and, ask them what do they think of this particular situation in the society, in the country, or in the world. So then they will come out with ideas. So this is one way of making students produce language in a low anxiety situation. So go to a language cafe. There are many online language cafes where people can meet and talk, and there are many people you can talk to native speakers. But one problem here is that, sometimes you get unwanted messages and things like that. So one way of protecting yourself is that immediately block that contact. That is something very important. Then using apps like HelloTalk, Tandem, these things also would help. Chat with Siri. These are, applications there within the built-in the mobile phone. So Google now, you can ask questions, the Siri will answer. That will also help you to improve the language. For teachers, I can introduce some of the materials here. So far I have discussed some of the basic methods of improving speaking. Some of these are all, well-made videos that are available on the net.
Hello, my name is Liz. In this lesson, I'm going to look at the types of topics that the examiner could ask you in IELTS Speaking Part 1. And at the end of this lesson, I'll give you a link so that you can take a look at the topics and questions for yourself. The examiner will probably ask you about 12 different questions in Speaking Part 1. And these questions come from usually 3 different topics. These topics are all familiar topics. They're topics that are common to everybody throughout the world. Now, the first topic of these 3 usually comes from one of these. Work, study, home or hometown. You will probably get one of them for your first topic. Work or study. Now, if the examiner decides to ask you about work or study, the first question that the examiner will ask is, do you work or do you study? Now, the examiner is asking this question only because he or she needs to know which topic to choose to ask the questions. So with this question, you do not need to expand your answer. You can just say very clearly, I work.
So I'm going to introduce another material. This is prepared by Elizabeth, the same person in the previous video. So she's introducing a set of topics for students to practice speaking. And these topics come with some questions also. So once you introduce these topics and ask those questions to the students, even if you are asking a student, where are you from? If a student is telling only the name of the place without giving additional information, you can ask the students to give you an answer in a sentence or 2. Even though the question requires only one word or 2-word answer, if you encourage students to give a sentence answer, add some more information about the place, what is very special in that place. That way, you can generate a lot of language. So it's up to us how we are going to encourage our students in producing the language. So this is another resource which teachers can use.
When the stakes.
Hi there. My name is Emma, and in today's lesson, we will be looking at how to do well on the speaking part of the IELTS. So the speaking part of the IELTS is divided up into 3 sections. Today, we're just going to be looking at section number 1. So first of all, I will explain how to do well, first I'll explain what happens in part 1 of the IELTS. And from there, we will look at some things you should do to do well and some things you shouldn't do. Okay? So let's get started. So what happens in your hands? Look at the examiner. But you don't have to stare at them. I prefer...
So these videos are not only, good content, but also it, gives a lot of tips for the learners to develop their language. How to have eye contact, how to develop confidence, how to look at a person and talk. These are the important areas. One can use these videos. Another tip is that when you have such a video, or you type how to teach a particular grammar point, many videos appear. You click on the first video on the right hand side, look here on the right, you get many similar videos. So you can go through these videos and make it a point that you watch this video before you use them in the class once or twice and go with a worksheet. So that is very important. It's not simply screening the videos, but you should prepare well in advance. So this is one way of, searching for more materials on the same topic or similar topic. These are all, on the right hand side, you get all the materials. So it is easy to, these are the people who repeatedly, native speakers actually, their classes are very good. And especially these classes are very good for kind of training resource materials for us to improve our teaching. So, another way of improving the language, even it is very valid for teachers also, watching teleserials, The Good Place, Community, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So these are the teleserials. But one problem with these teleserials is excessive sexual contents are there. But I feel that our teenage students are well informed today, and they can handle this, take it very lightly and give more importance to learning part of it. So that way, if you introduce some of them, I used to take particular clippings from download, take clippings from these teleserials and play it in the class and ask them to talk about that, discuss. The only thing is you must see that it, go hand in hand with the culture of the students you are teaching. So therefore, it is important you don't play any sexual content in the class. All the scenes don't have that. So a particular chunk of 10 minutes conversation you can extract and use it in the classroom. Now let us move on to reading skills. Regarding apps, I told you, all the apps are resources I'm introducing. I will send the links to the organizers. They will share it with you. So relax. How to improve your reading skills. Now, these are methods to, some of the ways you can teach your students how they can improve their reading skills. Decoding, that is find the meaning, sound, word, all those things are very important, So whatever they read, they should be able to understand in their own way. Next one is fluency. Initially they may not be very fluent. Improving the fluency in reading can also help them to be familiar with the sound and pronunciation and vocabulary. So reinforce vocabulary, trying to find out the meaning, and using a dictionary. These ways they can improve their reading. Sentence construction and cohesion. So within the sentence, how in a sentence, how they put meaning together, grammatically correct sentences together, and in a paragraph, how they are interlinking each ideas they are reading. That is also very important. So this is same in speaking also. Also, it is important to have background knowledge. If they are particularly learning about a particular thing, they should be able to get some background knowledge by browsing the internet, and also to understand the difference between what is being said and what is being implied. I have given one example here. What do you like to have, tea or coffee? This is a question, but look at the answer. Very nice of you. I love coffee. So the answer doesn't say that whether he wants tea or coffee directly. Indirectly, it is said that, I love coffee. That means I need coffee. I would like to have coffee. So in most of the things we read, that is what called reading between the lines. What is said may be one thing, what is implied may be different. So teaching the students to understand these differences will help them to read better. So memory is also very important. Memory plays an important role in retaining the vocabulary they learn. So like in the computer, we have random access memory and long-term memory. So it's also important to have these things. I'm skipping this. So again, Voice of America, I'm not going to go to the website. Earlier I said it has got a lot of listening materials. All the listening resources they broadcast has the reading materials also, and also they have the comprehension questions attached to it. So it is very important to, use them. You can go to, just type VOA Special English on the browser, you get all the materials. Now we use this particular textbook here, Pathways Reading Materials. And I'm going to show one particular paragraph from this and, show you how a paragraph can be organized, or mostly how paragraphs are organized in textbooks. If students know this, it will be easy for them to understand that. So you look at this paragraph, read this particular paragraph. Just very quickly read this paragraph. And I have also in the boxes, I have mentioned the roles of each sentence in that particular paragraph, how cohesion is achieved, how a topic sentence is, a topic is introduced, and how the topic is concluded. What are the cohesive devices used, transitions used. This should be the way we teach the students when we are introducing literature. Also, if you are reading from the book, a particular novel. So when you are introducing, you can take a particular paragraph and explain to them the role of sentences in that particular paragraph, how each sentence is contributing to the development of the paragraph, how they are interlinked. That is very important. And in turn, this will help them to become good writers also. So when they follow this particular method of academic writing, when they write a MA dissertation or MPhil dissertation or a PhD, it will be of great help. Now the last topic, writing in English. It's one of the most challenging skills in any language. Are we very proficient in writing in our own mother tongue? So how many, if we ask the same question to ourselves, how many of us are very proficient in using our own language and writing? So again, there are some things, like listening to speak better. It is important to read a lot, read vocabulary, grammar, look at the grammar and how sentences are constructed, as I have shown in the paragraph. It is important to, if you want to improve your writing, you have to look at those things when you are reading. So, for example, if you are going to describe a house or write a biography of yourself, you can look at some of the pre-existing writings about a house description or a biography. After reading that, you can attempt writing your own. Also, when you are writing, try to explain things in a very simple way. Sometimes I find it difficult to read and understand some of the PhD dissertations, some paragraphs. I find it very difficult, even though I've been using English language for the past 40 years. I find it difficult to comprehend the things they say because the language is very hard and it is very difficult to follow. So you have to always write in such a way that you are writing things to a layman for him to understand. Also anticipate your reader. What kind of readers are there who are going to read what you write? And grammar is also important. And in the initial stage, you can give give importance to fluency both in speaking and writing, but later you have to reinforce grammar. So organization of paragraph, I just mentioned earlier when I showed that paragraph as an example. So it is important to, learn to organize a paragraph, break the ideas. Division and classifications of ideas are very, very important. So next, after that, checking the spelling. Today with Microsoft Word and other AI activated programs, it is easy to check spelling and grammar. For example, Grammarly, and even the editing option in Microsoft Word will help you to correct your language. Also, writing. So there are 3 types of words: words we know, words we should know, words nobody knows. So forget those in the 3rd category and use restraint with those in the 2nd. So use only very simple, ordinary language. That is important. And also, most of the experienced writers, famous writers, they say that it is important to write very simple, very ordinary layman's language. And after writing, read it aloud. Finally, if you want to be a very successful writer, you have to practice, practice, and practice. Now, moving on to academic writing infrastructures. When you are, if you are going for your higher studies, you should be very familiar with this writing infrastructure. Any PhD student, for that matter, first 6 months, he or she should spend in, familiarizing these things. They should be very, very efficient in handling these infrastructures, description, process, causes and effects. And if any research guides, allow their PhD scholars to go in for writing their thesis without their scholars learn these writing infrastructures, it will be a disaster. So it is important, first 6 months along with the methodology, you should insist that your PhD wards learn this. They can do it online. There are enough number of resources, millions of resources for that matter, to practice this writing infrastructures. These are some of the examples. Now look at thesis. Why I give more importance to these kind of presentations, and want to share with teachers in India, particularly those who are teaching postgraduate courses and all. As a foreign examiner, I find it shockingly, sometimes I'm very much shocked by the kind of thesis I get. Look at a chapter I checked from one of the thesis, it is 73% of plagiarism. I mean, it's initially when you write, this will be there, but later on editing, the same person could make it to 27%. So now, why particularly I showed this example is that people don't take any efforts in learning how to write. Learning to write is very easy actually. Today, it's unlike yesteryears. Today, enough resources are there. So 2 basic things you have to learn. One is summarizing and the other one is paraphrasing. If you learn summarizing and paraphrasing, there are a lot of resources which teach students how to summarize and paraphrase. You can access these resources. It will teach you how to summarize and paraphrase. And also, for the revising, you have this editor option. Anyone can use this editor option in Microsoft Word. then on the right hand side your score, and it will show also the mistakes. You can edit and correct. Now look at this particular sentence. The very first sentence of the thesis was wrong, so I had to correct it. One has to be very careful because academic writing is taken very seriously. That's the end of it, and I thank the college for giving me this opportunity to share some of the online resources and discuss some of the very important issues related to teaching English. If you have some specific questions related to the use of these resources, you can ask me. Stop sharing.
Thank you, sir. Participants can ask your queries in the chat box.
Okay, someone has asked me about CELTA. CELTA is a very, very good course actually, but it is very, very expensive. If anyone is interested in working abroad, CELTA is a must. So even if you have a PhD, that's enough. CELTA and IELTS 7.5 score is very, very important. So if you are planning, please. And CELTA online courses are not accepted. You have to do face-to-face course. So that 1 month British Council course, I think in India it will cost 200,000 rupees. That is 2 lakhs rupees for you. So if anyone is planning to apply for jobs abroad, you have to do this. Teaching grammar, so many people suggest teaching grammar in isolation. I don't think it is necessary. So you can introduce a story. From the story you can reinforce the grammar. But there are many lessons that are available on the net for teaching grammar. For example, I'll share the screen one more time and show you some of the how you can search for resources on grammar. Just to type, for example, if you are interested in teaching passive voice. How to teach passive voice in a fun way.
Seven activities for teaching passive voice in the ESL classroom. Passive voice is something native English speakers can use without much thought, but it can be difficult for language learners to master because the switch from active to passive voice is quite an involved process, as many EFL teachers find when they first attempt to present it. Here are some fun activities that you can use in the classroom to help your students practice using this tricky language pattern. Do remember, when you adapt these games, that not every verb or tense in the English language can be used for the passive voice. Change the room. This is a tried and tested game that's been used with the passive voice for a long time.
Okay.
It's a lot
so
of fun.
The idea is
and
that
whatever
that comes in
tenses, although you
comes
may
to your
need to
mind,
be creative
whatever
if you want to use
infrastructure
any
you are
future
planning
forms.
to teach, Just type it out, put it in a form of question, then select the videos, you'll get it. And now I would like to answer some of the very important questions people are asking. How they are typing, many of them you are writing. So what is happening is it's moving very fast. So let me check some of the questions. Okay, one thing. Thank you very much for insight. Interesting. Describing detailed online resources. Okay. Someone has, you mentioned resources to improve academic writing. Kindly share them. Okay. The best plagiarism checker is what we use is Turnitin. That is the best available, I think. Plagiarisms, software to software, it is different. And what they are using in Indian universities, like I get some thesis with 0 plagiarism. When I check it in Turnitin, it will be 18 to 20%. So I don't know what magic they do while they are checking plagiarism. Kiran Thakur, is there any link for improving fluency? Yeah, improving fluency, it is a kind of thing one has to practice listening to people, and by speech shadowing they can do it. Fluency will come by practice, and once you aren't afraid of making mistakes, you can be fluent. There are many methods of improving your fluency. Just type it on the browser, how to improve my English fluency. You get a number of videos. Okay. A few methods to make rural students converse in English. Whether rural students and city students, urban students, provide them opportunities in the classroom to speak. That's the only way. So how you can, and also someone asked the question that, there are, millions of online resources. It is time consuming to use it. Here comes collaboration. If 5-10 people are working in the department, if you collaborate together and, hunt for materials, customize it and share with each other, you can do it. Then another advantage of using resources is that, the search time and customizing times is, a little bit more. But when it is easy to use in the classroom, you can reuse it again and again. So the time and energy spent on hunting for the materials and customizing them will definitely bring a lot of reward. Okay, so to pursue higher education abroad, is it essential to work on British English, particularly the accent, rather than Indian English from the beginning school's curriculum? This is one point of high debate here. So today, if you speak English like an Indian, that is more than enough. They don't care, what English you speak. British English, the idea of RP, received pronunciation, is not at all there. I have worked with, for the past 17 years, I have worked with at least 100 native speakers, Australia, Americans and all. Not even one I have come across once who speak English, the English that is spoken in the British Broadcasting Corporation. That is supposed to be the standard. I don't know who set this standard. Today, the kind of language is mutually intelligible language. What you speak, I don't speak RP. I don't speak British English. I speak my typical Indian English, but I am a teacher teaching with Americans and British people. So what is important is intelligibility. What you speak should be intelligible to the other party. Today, our students are going to work in multinational companies. Do you think they are going to online calls? They are speaking only British people? No. They'll be speaking, first call will be from Africa, another call from Asia, another call will be from Middle East. So they have to adjust with all the accents. So therefore, any language for that matter, mutually intelligible pronunciation is accepted. That is what is needed. Don't frighten your students by saying that you should speak like a British man. It will never happen. Yeah, Mini Rajan's question only I answered. So a lot of resources are there. Where do we find time? It is time consuming. It is everything, collaborative work. If teachers can collaborate, they can do a lot of work together and share the materials. Is there any English course that you suggest for English teachers? Of course, CELTA and TEFL, TESOL are not going to help you in any way. They aren't, they are not very good courses. You will sell out a lot of money and you will get nothing. Yeah, Dr. Manzoor Ali, I think the Mr. MR dot or without dot is more of an abbreviation rather than contraction. That's what I feel. Thank you very much. So I think we can wind up. Sorry for keeping you so late.
Okay, sir. Sure, sir.
Yeah. Anyhow, so I have finished within that 12:30 framework, I think. Yeah, 10
yes,
minutes.
Sir.
Yeah, early.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Now I invite Dr. M. Manopriya to propose the vote of thanks.
Sir, the way you have explained the topic is exemplary. You took the festivity of the event to a greater level by your zealous speech, and your commendable talk on the subject have enlightened us in the topic, sir. Thank you so much for inculcating the valuable ideas, sir.
Thank you very much. So thank you for the opportunity. Thank you very much. Shall I leave?
Sir, vote of thanks. Shall I go with vote of thanks, sir?
Yeah, okay. I'll stay.
Okay, sir. Good afternoon to one and all present here. I regard this moment as an honor and privilege to extend the vote of thanks on this occasion. Gratitude is the fairest blossom that springs from the soul. I take this opportunity to put all my gratitude in the form of words. On behalf of the college management, I would like to thank our chief guest, Dr. Justin James, for providing his gracious presence to join us today to widen our mental horizon. Sir, indeed, your thought-provoking address set a perfect platform for our program. I hope we continue to work like this and organize such events in the future. My heart goes out to thank our respected delegates of the previous dates for accepting our invitation to this FTP and encouraging the morale of the speakers by their august presence and enthusiasm. Without their kind presence in the FTP, we could not have accomplished what we have dreamt for. As no program can a successful one with a single person. I extend my thanks to our respected secretary and correspondent, Thiru S.T. Chandrasekhar, for his constant encouragement, which always helps us to carry out important events like this. We are eternally grateful to our beloved principal for all words of wisdom that radiated a source of energy within us. Thank you, sir. We have been fortunate enough to be backed up by our administrative officer, Mr. S. Lokesh Kumar, and Dean Academics, Mr. Nalaswamy VP, for their continuous support and able guidance to touch greater heights. Thank you, sir. I thank Dr. Moganasundari L., Head Department of English, VET Institute of Arts and Science College, for working hard and ensuring that the event was carried out flawlessly. My wholehearted thanks to all the participants from various colleges for their deep involvement towards these sessions. I'm running short of words to express my humble thanks to my colleagues for their enormous cooperation in the organization of the event. I'm also grateful to Mr. Gokul, System Administrator, for his timely technical support in making this event a successful one. At last, I thank the Almighty for taking this event to the point of success. Information. The e-certificates will be sent to your email within 2 weeks. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Sir, thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, you are welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.